Miscommunications with a Brazilian auto parts manufacturer. That's our case study. Cultural relativism. Citing Vanatu, know better, do better. We talk about creating systems that celebrate cultural diversity and embraces multiple ways of thinking as well as exploring our differences. For example, a culture that supports eating of pork meat. Anyone and everyone that eats pork meat is not wrong, but a culture that does not support eating of pork meat, anyone that eats pork meat will be termed wrong and can be prosecuted for that. Relativism relates with cultural approval of an act, deciding the morality and immorality of an act. Still talking about cultural relativism, I believe there is no such thing as an absolutely right standard. Just because something doesn't work for you doesn't mean it is not accepted. There is no such thing as the absolute right standard. So no culture can be better than another. No culture should see themselves as being better. For example, where I'm from in Nigeria, we have the Yorubas, Hausas, and the Igbos. These three have their different ethnic groups that they are divided into. But some will still fight about the fact that the Hausa are not learned, unlike the Yorubas and Igbos. Whereby you see an Hausa person, you feel he or she is not up to standard because of the cultural difference. Also, still talking about relativism, I will still be citing Nigeria. The Yorubas would rather kneel and prostrate by fully laying to the floor as a form of respect or greeting. But the Igbos do not do that. An Igbo lady greeting a Yoruba man and not kneeling will be termed disrespectful. We need to be able to understand culture without being judgmental. A joint venture. When we talk about challenges of collaborating ventures, a joint venture simply means a partnership between or involving a team of managers. This could be two or three or more, depending on the agreement. Reasons for international joint ventures could be to expand your market reach. Companies around the world form joint ventures on long term. The intercultural relationship between these individuals or companies may be complex based on what is acceptable or not due to culture. Example is the World Cup. We're taking an example of the World Cup happening in Qatar at the moment, whereby alcohol was being banned from being sold at the stadiums and public places because of their intolerance, their religious intolerance in the United Arab Emirates. Also, the roles of the LGBTQ community was being cancelled as the UAE frowns on the community of the LGBTQ as part of their culture. When you say a company, reasons for international joint venture to expand market reach, just like what's it called? Let's use KFC for an example. KFC going to Nigeria. It's not like they will definitely bring somebody from the US or from their headquarters to say, yeah, I want you to stay here and manage this place. They will just rather employ people that are in that particular community that they know that can actually manage the situation, manage the company well. But then again, you have to know that different people have their different culture. Using UAE for example, I'm sure they do not sell, like, alcohol is not being sold in public in UAE. Like, you have to go to like private clubs to be able to be served alcohol in the United Arab Emirates. Now we have challenges to international joint ventures. For the challenges, we have racism, sexism, religious intolerance. When we talk about racism, what do we mean? Racism simply means someone looking down a particular person from a different race. Now we have different race groups. We have the blacks, we have the whites, we have the British, we have like various races in the world. People majorly look down on each other and say, "Oh no, we're not the same because you're black. You guys are monkeys. You don't know anything. You're not learned." Because they are white, they believe they are superior to the people that are black, which is very wrong. When you talk about sexism, that is looking down on someone based on sex. There are some countries you go to and they tell you, oh, women are not allowed to do this, women are not allowed in leadership position. So because you're a woman, because you're a lady, because you're female, you cannot be given a role that you could occupy, and you are capable of occupying and capable of running. But because they feel, oh, a man is the one who is supposed to be there, a man is the one who is supposed to be the leader there. Like you have some places in Africa, for instance. Let's use Nigeria as an example. Nigerians feel a woman cannot lead the country. There was a particular president who even said that the role of a woman in politics is not for her to be a president or a governor. It's not for her to govern, but for her to be in the kitchen. That is a woman's department, which is very, very wrong, because we should all have equality. Life should be about balance. It should be equal, not one person thinking, oh, I'm higher than this other person because I'm male. No, the female gender is supposed to be low. It's then also we have religious intolerance. Oh, because I have a church, I can't go into a mosque, or because I'm a Christian, I can't employ a Muslim. Those are very, very wrong. Also, we move to the key challenges for success of a joint venture or collaborative venture. We have the strategic alignment, we have the governance, we have economic independence, and we have organization. For strategic alignment, we talk about clash of goals. We talk about conflict when unclear about goals and visions. For you to have a goal, for you to collaborate and run a particular organization, you have to both each party, like both parties, not each, because if you say each, you talk about individual. But when you say both, you say joint. That's two being together. Both parties have to be aligned. You have to work towards achieving the same goals. That means you have to have the same mission and the same aim. If there is no aim and there is no mission, then the foundation of that particular organization is broken. Then, when we talk about governance, we talk about decision making, being unbiased. As a leader, you have to be unbiased with your opinion, or else it will lead to failure. Okay, for instance, I'm employing somebody from the UAE and he's coming to the US to manage Kentucky Fried Chicken. Him coming there, or we partnering together, he comes to the US and he sees, oh, gay people coming into the store. He tries to say, no, I don't sell to gay people because of my cultural difference. Now, you being a leader, you being in a position where you are to govern, you need to be able to overlook your cultural difference for your goals. You have a particular goal, you have a particular aim, you have a point with which you are supposed to reach. That should be your major concern and not the cultural difference. We also have the economic independence. For the economic independence, we talk about resource contribution, good allocation of resources. Also, we have the organization. For the organization, We have intentional leaders. For you to have an organization, you have to have people that are willing. Like, you don't just bring somebody who has a lackadaisical attitude and say, yes, I want you in my organization. You have to be willing to be there. You have to be willing to lead. Intentional leaders, you have to be intentional about everything. Like, yes, I have to do this. Not, oh no, I can always do it later. I can always do it at any time. No, you have to have an intentional attitude. You have to be an intentional leader. Also, you have to be highly skilled. You can't just stay there and believe. They say change is the constant thing. You can't just stay there and just, oh, no, I just want to stay in one position. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to improve. You have to be willing to associate and learn about the latest technology and how to improve yourself as an organization. So cultural missteps as well. Then we have business practices in Brazil. So according to the business cultural missteps in the case study, the most critical task for any administrator to understand is that culture must be put in the context of supervising various relationships, multiple identities, and realities. So, what this is saying is that for you to be able to go to a different country, for you to be able to relate with somebody in a different country and work with them, number one thing you should be able, like I was using UAE as an example. Someone from Dubai, for instance, going to the US to manage KFC in or partnering with KFC in the US, you have to be able to understand that this is not about where I'm from. It's about a common goal which it's supposed to be achieved. So you don't look at the fact that, oh, LGBTQ is not accepted in Dubai. You look at the fact that LGBTQ is accepted in the US, and you work towards, oh, how can I implement this? How can I make it better? Um then we talk about business practices in Brazil. When we talk about business practices in Brazil, we talk about Brazilians as individuals. Who are Brazilians? You learn to understand your subject, learn to understand people you're relating with, learn to understand people you're working with. In order to move together, in order to achieve a common goal, you need to be able to understand, oh, what are their values? What is their culture? What can I also imbibe? So you look at the people are more social and less individualistic. Do not as a Brazilians do not like it when you publicly advise them, as it will seem like a criticism of their ability. It makes them feel less of themselves if you criticize them in public or if you advise them in public. They take it as, even if it's an advice, they take it as a criticism. Then always they always want to be in control. They are relaxed but sophisticated. Then we have for the business practices in the US as well. In the USA, in the USA, individualism plays a significant role in the lives of many Americans. Position in the society is determined by their achievements and not status and age. Then they only relate to exchange informations and facts, and not, oh, for, we just want to relate with you. No, they only relate to exchange information and facts. Then relating with the case study, we will remember I said cultural relativism supports that there is neither wrong or right in any culture. um when interacting interculturally, we must learn to tolerate ourselves and do not portray a culture as being superior to another. This means all cultures should be respected without being prioritized preferentially. Now, relating to the case study, The representatives from Lucky Auto Parts Company, based in Iowa, made their first mistake by not informing their business associates that he would not be coming, and his son in law, that was sent to represent him in Brazil, also dressed casually, considering the weather conditions as his reasons, which was frowned at culturally in Brazil. It was not accepted for you to just dress casually to a meeting or to an appointment in Brazil. He was also being pushy and trying to move the meeting date without familiarizing himself with the Brazilian associates. These were the three cultural mistakes that the Americans portrayed. As it is with other countries, if you are to meet a Brazilian on a business meeting, proper research should be made to better understand how they behave, as well as understand their cultural difference. So, thank you for listening. Um, I hope you learned a bit from what I could put together. Thank you very much. Once again, I just talked about cultural relativism. Then the lesson learned from my case study. It is important for managers to pay attention to their gestures. Also, managers should learn to familiarize themselves with cultural basics of the culture they intend to partner with. Taking cues from clues for other person's communication will help for better understanding. So you need to be able to learn. You need to be open minded. If you're going to relate interculturally, you need to be open minded. You need to be able to learn. You need to have done research about, oh, I'm going to Africa. I need to learn about Africans. Oh, for example, someone from Africa coming to the UK, oh, there's this thing about Africans. They don't keep to time. You say, oh, 9 o'clock. An African can show up 10 o'clock thinking, oh, they won't start 9. But when you come here in the UK, you notice, oh, 9 is 9. There's nothing like we don't start 9. So you need to be able to pay attention. You need to be able to familiarize yourself. You need to be able to do research. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much. I hope with this few points of mine, I've been able to come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.